You may think you know how to price your rental, but there are lots of nuances in finding rental comps or comparables that you have to keep in mind. Today, we're going to deep dive into what it means to comp a property for rent. My name is Ashley Kehr, and I am the host of the Real Estate Rookie podcast and an investor out of Buffalo, New York. I spend my time investing in primary long-term rentals using the BRRRR strategy, along with the occasional flip, short-term rental, and mid-term rental. Today, though, we are going to focus on the long-term rental strategy. We're getting deep into rental comps and what not to do. Before we get into that, I really want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, RentRedi. Are you a landlord struggling to keep track of rent payments? Tired of chasing down tenants every month? Say goodbye to those headaches with RentRedi. RentRedi is the all-in-one solution for landlords looking to streamline their rent collection process. With RentRedi, collecting rent is as easy as a few clicks. No more late night phone calls or awkward face-to-face reminders. RentRedi allows your tenants to pay online, securely, and conveniently right from their smartphones. But RentRedi isn't just about collecting rent. It's about simplifying your entire rental management process. From screening tenants to managing maintenance requests, RentRedi has you covered every step of the way. Sign up for RentRedi today and experience the future of hassle-free rental management. Visit RentRedi to learn more. Okay, ready? Let's jump into comping. The first mistake I see investors make when pricing the rental is that they don't find or research their own comps, or they don't verify comps that are given to them. Never take someone's word on what other rentals are working for in an area if they are not an investor in that market. This could be your real estate agent who has never leased a single property. This could be your dad who thinks it's worth renting out for X amount, or another investor who isn't in that market, but just off the top of their head thinks you could get X amount. Any information you receive from others should be verified. The second mistake I see made when looking at comps is not comparing similar apartments or property types. If you have a single family home with 3 bedrooms and you use a 3-bedroom apartment in a 120 unit apartment complex, this is not an apples to apples comparison. The apartment complex includes a free gym and pool. The single family has no amenities. Before comparing, take into account amenities and utilities. In the apartment complex, all utilities are included except electric in our example. In the single family home, the tenant is responsible for all of their utilities plus lawn care and snow removal. There is no pool and no fitness center. If both were priced at $1,000, which one would you pick? Affordability-wise, you most likely choose the apartment complex because you don't have to pay all the extra utilities and you don't need to buy a gym membership. Your monthly living costs would be lower living at the apartment complex than the single-family home, but you would have more amenities at the complex too. In that example, the utilities were different for the 2 properties too. Make sure you take into consideration what utilities are provided for and what amenities are provided when looking at your comparables. Thinking your unit could rent for $2,000 because other apartments have the same bed, bath count, but then you realize when you start to do showings that these tenants expect washers, dryers, and all utilities included in that price. Where in your property, you have no washer, dryer, no hookups even, and no utilities included. Make sure when using a property as a comparable, it is actually comparable. If you can't find anything comparable, do some research as to what the costs are for the utilities and decrease your rent by that amount. Or increase if you are including utilities and the others aren't. You can oftentimes call utility companies to get an average billing number if you don't already know what the average monthly utility cost is for the property. I have one duplex that has no separate utilities, so I pay the electric, gas, and water and sewer for the property. Each unit only pays for their own Wi-Fi. Most other properties in the area only have water and sewer included. The market rent for the downstairs unit is $650. I charge $800. The $150 per month covers the utilities. I found out what each utility cost averaged over 12 months. The gas is a lot higher in the winter due to heating. That's why I like to take the average over a full year to account for different seasons. Along with utilities and amenities, you should also be considering the finishes of the unit. Oftentimes, a new investor can make the mistake of just going off bed bath count and square footage, but the finishes can play a large factor in the price of the rental. For example, if the property has an old, outdated kitchen and bathroom, it is going to rent for less than a newly renovated kitchen and bath unit. Comparables that have photos are going to be a more reliable comparable than properties that don't have photos. A lot of large apartment complexes keep photos of their apartments on rental listing websites, even if they also have none available. This is also beneficial if you are rehabbing your unit. You can see what finishes people want in that market and what you don't need. If no apartment has quartz countertops and the rents are already high, then you don't need to pay the added expense of having quartz countertops installed. This brings us also to the fact that you need to do market research to understand what is the max rent someone will pay in your market for, let's say, a 3-bedroom apartment. Even if you put the nicest finishes, there's always a cap as to how much someone would pay. This is where understanding the economic conditions of your market is important. You'll want to know what people can actually afford, what class area you are in, and what's the income range. Even if you make the nicest unit, but you have to charge double what the typical rent is in that market, it may just not be affordable, even if everyone loves it and wants it. So make sure you know the affordability or the highest price someone will pay in your market, no matter what the property is. Also, when you do put yourself as an outlier, such as the nicest unit and most expensive rent, you do limit your pool of approved applicants. The last mistake I want to touch on is not looking at the exact location of a rental and what is surrounding it when comparing it to your property. Make sure you are looking at what school districts the comparables are in. What is walkable? Are there parks, hospitals, restaurants, etc.? Also, is there anything specific that makes the location of comparable A worth more than your rental? This could be that it has a park across the street, there's a bus stop nearby, or some other thing that is valuable that makes it more desirable to live in that neighborhood. Okay, so all these tips are good for not making mistakes during comping, but what if you can't even find any properties to act as comparables? This can be extremely challenging if you have a unique property or if you are investing in a rural area. This happens to me all the time. Your number one resource is going to be speaking with other investors in the area that can inform you what they are renting their units out for. You meet other investors by attending networking events in your area or going onto the BiggerPockets forums asking to connect with other investors in your market. You can also connect with property managers who service the area. Search property managers in your market and give the leasing agent a call. You can always just ask what the rents are for properties in an area without even saying you're an investor. Even if they don't have any units available for rent, you could just ask what the apartments go for in that area based on the bedroom count. Make sure to ask for a description of the unit to get the best idea of how comparable it is to yours. Even still, what if you can't find any properties that are comparable? You just have something unique. The best way to figure this out is to understand what your unit would rent for if it was comparable. So take away the features or amenities that make it unique. Now that it is comparable, what is the market rent? Now take your amenities and features and you're setting them aside. So for example, if you have no units that have garages in your area, but yours does, then go and look at a storage facility and look at the storage fees in the area. Add the going rate for storage. If the market rent is $1,500 for a 2-bedroom and a storage garage of similar size rents for $100 per month, then you could use $1,600 as a comparable for your unique property. Don't forget that you also have the convenience advantage of someone having a garage at their home and not at a separate location like a storage unit, which adds more value. Now that you have settled on a rent amount to charge, it is time to actually find a tenant. This is where property management software comes in handy to help you through the whole process. There are various listing websites available to post your apartment online. I used to use Facebook Marketplace, but would become so overwhelmed with messages from tire kickers that it was not worth my time. Now I rely on property management software to make one listing, then have it posted on multiple websites such as Zillow, Apartments.com, and various other similar ones. Next, you will receive applications, screen the applicants, and send the lease for signature. After the lease is signed, I collect the security deposit and first month's rent before move-in. One thing I really dislike is having to be somewhere at some time. This whole process I just stated is done virtual by using a property management software like RentRedi. I can even have the new tenants sign their lease online and then make their payments. When I first started renting apartments, I would meet a tenant to get their payment before they moved in. Using a property management program like RentRedi can make collecting rent super simple and fast for both you and your tenants. You want to make it as easy as possible for your tenants to pay, right? Especially with the option to set up auto pay, it eliminates the excuse that they just forgot or we're out of town, etc. There are also a lot of great features if your tenant doesn't pay. You can easily email your tenant a copy of their ledger showing the past due amount and just continuously nag. You could do this every day until they pay. According to your state eviction laws, after so many days, you can serve them with a notice to vacate. I use an attorney for this. I can use the reports in the property management software to send to my attorney to send the process and to start it. He requires the lease agreement, past due charges report, and a copy of the tenant's ledger. My virtual assistant or myself can easily go into the property management software and pull the reports to easily send to the attorney. I'm going to tell you something. When I first started as a property manager, I was using a piece of paper with ruler grid lines to mark if someone paid rent for that month. That was what was available to me when I started working for the 40-unit apartment complex. I was collecting the checks from each tenant and then depositing every single check at the bank branch. To be fair, this is what was left for me, and I had no idea what I was doing. There was no software, there's no systems. The earlier you start using property management software like RentRedi, the easier it will be to continue to onboard properties each time you have a new acquisition. There are just so many benefits. Comment below if you guys would actually like me to do a video on the tips and tricks of how to automate and systematize your property management with using property management software like RentRedi. We all want to have everything running efficiently and effectively, right? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you can avoid these comping mistakes after watching this video. What questions do you still have? Let us know in the comments below. And a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, RentRedi. Once again, I'm Ashley Kehr, and you can also connect with me on BiggerPockets.com or check me out on the Real Estate Rookie podcast and YouTube channel. See you guys next time.